Lovely listeners, and welcome back down to the deep dark depths of the red rabbit hole. Maybe I should see, can I say lovely viewers now? Maybe I should say very lovely viewers for a little bit of alliteration, not a full bit of alliteration, but maybe a little bit. I don't know if I've got another V.
As long as you get your tongue around it, it's fine.
Hello and welcome our very lovely viewers to the Red Rabbit Hole. Thank you for joining us back down here again, the place where true crime meets thriller fiction. And today I've been out again with my sack and I've caught us another author to drag down into the rabbit hole. Today we're joined by Alison Stockham. Hi, Alison.
Hi.
Welcome to the rabbit hole.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. And just before you tell us a little bit more about you, Alison, I best mention Nicky's here too. That's really mean, isn't it? Hi, Nicky.
Why, hello there.
Our best-selling author, N V Peacock, has joined us again down the rabbit hole.
Do I have a choice? I mean,
we had a choice about whether we were going to let me do the intro or not.
Yeah,
and you might be regretting that choice now. I don't know, but yeah,
instantly it was instant regret.
Apologies. Anyway, back to Alison. Alison, so just to start, would you like to tell us a little bit about you and about your books?
Okay. Well, hello everybody. Nice to talk to you. My name's Alison Stockham. I am a thriller writer from Cambridge in the UK. And I have 4 psychological thriller, domestic noir, psychological suspense books out with Boldwood. And the latest one is called The Man She Married.
Ooh. What's domestic noir?
So domestic noir is kind of like family drama, but with a darker side to it.
Ooh. It's what you live in, Lisa.
Yes,
you live in a domestic noir.
A domestic noir, a comedy noir, mine would be, I think.
It's really difficult to kind of, because obviously psychological thriller is like an umbrella term for lots of different types of thrillers. And yeah, mine tend to focus on family relationships. But like I said, on the darker side of things, I kind of call them crime adjacent.
Fantastic. And tell us a little bit more about the book you're going to talk to us about today and the rabbit holes.
So The Man She Married follows the story of Beth, who wakes up in hospital with 5 years of her memory missing. She doesn't remember moving from Australia to the UK, and she doesn't remember meeting nor marrying the man sat at her bedside, who everyone tells her is her husband, Rob. She goes home with him to try and rebuild her life after the accident, but she can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. And Beth and the readers go through the story together, where they try and work out whether Beth's instincts are correct, or whether, because she's had this traumatic brain injury, she is possibly coming up with things that aren't true.
I bet there's a lot of wives that wish they could forget.
I mean, I think I've heard there's a few mothers like me of around 5-year-olds that go, "Where did that last 5 years go? What did I do?"
The 2 most comments on this book so far, one have been, don't start it in the middle of the afternoon because you won't be going to sleep until you finish reading it, because it's a bit of a page turner, which is great. And the other one is, I wish I could forget I'd married to my husband.
Yeah.
I feel like I always have to say with my books with the caveat, because I would say my husband is actually very nice and quite happy to be married to him.
Really?
When everyone's kind of like, is it based on him? No, it's not.
Alison, blink twice if you're in trouble and need help.
We're like, wide eyed stare, like, I'm fine.
Sometimes, though, that's what books are, though. I think they're an escape for the reader. But maybe I'm not an author. I'll admit I'm not an author. But just from people that we've met, authors that we've met through doing the podcast, it kind of sounds like it is a bit of an escapism. It's kind of a world that, that isn't real, but that you can create an escape into in the process of writing.
It's definitely an element of that. Yeah, there are kind of little bits of my own life and people I've met and people I know that kind of make it into the book, but never all one person and all one character being the same person. There's hopefully nobody recognizable from my life in the books.
Do you think one day somebody's gonna turn
Yeah, I'm
up?
sure somebody will annoy me so
Excuse
much,
me.
be like, you're going in there. But no, so far, not so far, no.
So in Alison's next book, there'll be a chapter about I went on this podcast
Yeah, yeah.
and they did a terrible intro and then they were really Wow, and how long have you been writing? How did you come to
Well, I started taking it seriously in about 2018. I've kind of always written, right from writing stories when I was a little girl, entering kind of writing competitions with the local libraries when I was at school. But I got kind of sidetracked after university into making film and TV drama and documentary. So I've kind of always done storytelling of a kind. But I spent about 15 years making predominantly documentaries in the end for the BBC, which was great and has been really useful in terms of creating a story and knowing kind of what appeals to audiences and how to kind of create a story structure. But then I had my two girls and stepped back from that and kind of went back to writing seriously in about 2018 when I did NaNoWriMo.
Oh yeah, I know.
It was
Yeah.
really helpful because I'd written loads of books or parts of books before, but I always wrote and edited, and I discovered that actually that doesn't work for me. What I have to do is write the whole first draft, messy and scrappy as it might be, and then look at it and rework it. Which, if you're writing 50,000 words in November, you don't have time to look at what you're doing. You just keep going. And so I did that and wrote the first 50,000 words of what would eventually become The Cuckoo Sister, my debut novel. And then after NaNoWriMo, I thought, if I just keep going, I'll have a whole book. So I did that and then edited it in 2019. And it was then longlisted for the Lucy Cavendish Fiction Prize in 2020. And it all kind of went from there, really, with sending it out to agents and getting representation. But yeah, 2018 is when I really thought, do you know what? I think I should do this. I had a big birthday coming up, and I thought, if I don't write the book that I always wanted to write before I turn 40, I'm terrified that I'm never actually going to do it. And that scared me more than actually writing it. So I sat down and got on with it.
I hear
Those
that a
big
lot
birthdays will
from
do that.
writers. Yeah, big
Sorry,
birthdays do.
Nicky.
I was going to say, I hear that a lot with writers that it's when they take it seriously. It's
Yeah,
those words. And then they get somewhere.
yeah,
And I think it's because with all the will in the world, if you've got your life, you've got your family, you've got your job, you don't have a lot of time to write. And you do need to really carve out that time to get that first draft because as you discovered, Alison, the way, you discover how you work, and obviously you need that whole first draft before you start editing. And it's 70% editing, isn't it?
yeah, for sure.
And if you
Yeah,
have no
absolutely.
first draft, you have nothing to edit, so you can't move forward.
I always say that the first 50,000 words that I wrote in NaNoWriMo, I think maybe 5,000 made it into the final
Yeah.
book. Because
But
to be fair, the first 30,000 were horrific. They
but
came out pretty quickly.
it got you going though,
But
and
it
that's
did.
what it's
Yeah.
meant to do. It's, not everything's going to be perfect, and even
No.
Hemingway said every first draft is bad. He said it in a slightly more colorful way that I'm not going to say here, but that's what
Yeah.
he said. And and he was like one of the greatest writers. And the thing that got me writing my debut novel, Little Bones, was a year from now I'll wish I'd done this.
Yeah. It's that whole thing, isn't it? A year from now, you wish you started today.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, it's annoying because it's true. And actually, I think the thing that NaNoWriMo taught me not only was that if I just keep going, I'll have a book. It's that there are lots of little pockets of time that you could write in if you just give that time to the writing. And it can be kind of hard to kind of justify it, I think, when you've got lots of stuff going on, because it kind of feels a little bit, like I'm writing my novel. But yeah, if you give that time to yourself, I always say when people ask for advice, I was like, give yourself permission to do it. If you want to do it, and that's okay.
Yeah. It's I think it's one of those things as well that you like. For me, the first 10 minutes is really hard
Mm.
because my brain, I'm not in the flow yet. I'm thinking, oh God, here we go. And
Yeah,
then suddenly it hits.
yeah. It's like if I could just kind of tie myself to the chair, 20 minutes. Actually, how I do it now is I bribe myself. I'm like, all you have to do is write while you drink this cup of coffee. That's all you have to do. And even now that I'm a full-time writer, I have to bribe myself to get started, because you're right, it's that first 10 minutes is really hard until you're into the flow of things. So I say, write until you've drunk the coffee, and you're not allowed to get up and go away until you finish that, which takes about 15-20 minutes. And by that point, I don't want to get up because I'm in the flow and I'm you know, I'm off. But yeah, even now I have to bribe myself to sit down. Even though I love doing it, it makes no sense.
Yeah,
I
same
think
here.
it's harder when like you've got a family and I find I'm so distracted by stuff. Like,
Mm,
oh, I'll just pick that up. I'll just do this. I best sort that washing. I'll just do that. I'll just do
yeah.
that. And then before you know, it's like, oh, I best go and pick the kids up now. The day is done. Like, it's really hard, like you say, to give yourself permission to go, okay, I'm allowed to do that. Now I'm going to sit down and do that because I'm too easily distracted by all the
Yeah.
other
I
things
mean,
in the house.
at the moment I work from the dining table, which looks out over the kitchen. So yeah, the first thing I have to do in the morning after the school run is sort out the laundry, sort out the plates, because I can't sit down and look at it.
Yeah.
So in the
Mm.
Yeah.
process of kind of swapping the house around to kind of carve me out a little office space somewhere. I can't wait so I can go in and like shut the door.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, there might be laundry out there. I don't know. I can't see it.
Out of sight, out of
It
mind.
does not
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
Washer does not
Yeah.
need emptying in this room.
It's the going up the stairs. So we got
Yeah.
the office like upstairs, but I don't know if you do this. I pile stuff at the bottom of the stairs with the intention of maybe someone taking it upstairs at some point. So I literally can't walk past it because it's kind of there. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
let's go and take that. And that needs to go there. And that needs to go there. And then,
Yeah.
oh, look, there's toys everywhere. Let's pick them up. And it just rolls on.
Hmm. I've literally just done that. I just popped upstairs to get something to my daughter, and the stuff that I'd left on the stairs for her to take up, she walked past.
Yeah, they do. They don't see it, do they? I think it must be invisible to anyone but our eyes, really. Yeah, because I remember having a friend over once, and I think I'd had a little grumble about nobody takes these things up the stairs. And as she was going up the stairs, she was just a guest in her house. She went, "Do you want these taken up, Lisa?"
Aw.
Making a really strong point for me. I was like, "Oh yes, please." I mean, bless her heart, she just put them literally at the top of the stairs, but. It still was trying to teach my husband, actually, you need to
Hmm.
take things up the stairs. They do exist.
I think when it comes to writing, it's a lot of it is a bit of procrastination, because housework and jobs like that tend to be quite not easy but quick, if you know what I mean. Like, you know what you're doing, and you get that instant kind of dopamine hit once you've like washed the dishes, because you feel like, oh, job well done, I've washed the
Yeah.
dishes.
It's
Whereas when
something
it
of a
comes
kick.
to writing, yeah, it's that dopamine hit is a long time away, because
Hmm.
you don't know whether it's gonna fly, whether your agent's gonna like it, whether the publishers are gonna like it, whether the readers are gonna like it, and so you're working on a kind of one day dopamine hit rather than an instant one. So it can be very easy to just kind of get sidelined into something else and go away from the writing.
Yeah. It's like I'm back on the first draft, the next book now. And yeah, I don't get to tick first draft done until June.
Yeah, yeah, it's a long time, isn't it, to have it on the to-do list?
Yeah, it's just like, and it's at the top of the to-do list because it really does need doing. But yeah, I'm at the point where I'm wrangling now. I rewrote the synopsis yesterday with a slightly different element to it that I've got to run past my editor tomorrow. Hope she likes it.
Yeah.
It's half term as well, so it's proper juggle this week.
And one of the big things with writing, especially thrillers, is the research that goes
Mm,
into it. And I think, I mean, Alison, we spoke a lot, didn't we, about the research? You covered a lot with this book.
mm.
So give us a bit of a rundown as to what you covered and which rabbit holes you jumped down.
What I loved about this book and the research with them, it was so varied. It was like a whole different, completely wide-ranging topic. So the book starts with a car accident. So for that, I had to do research into car accidents. So I was looking at road surfaces, road conditions. It's set out in the fens. There's really long, straight roads that have deep drainage ditches either side of them. And so I was looking at kind of the trajectory of the car and the speed, looking at the difference of the speed and the like the affects the impact where one car was coming from and where another car was coming from and where it hit the car and what that would make the car do. I actually drew out the road on a bit of paper and was kind of like had one car pointing in one direction and another car pointing in another direction. And I kind of like had written down how fast both cars were going and how far apart they were, and therefore what that would happen, what that would likely do in terms of impact. Because I needed the car to spin around on the wet road and end up in the ditch. And that's not a spoiler because that's literally the second page of the book. Yeah, looking at crumple zones and all kinds of really technical stuff, which was one big element. It took a while to kind of make sure that the car accident was believable, because I think the issue with research is that the reason it's so important is if you're reading something and you know about crumple zones or car conditions or whatever, and it's not right, it immediately pulls the reader out of the story. So I worked very hard to make sure all the elements are as right as I can possibly get them. So looked into the car element. I also, in finding the exact road, because it was a very specific setting that I had in my head. Now I'm from this area, I'm from Cambridgeshire. I went to school out towards Ely. So I know the Fen roads fairly well, but I wanted to have a specific one in mind. So I spent a lot of time on Google Maps, kind of looking about. It's really handy, the kind of main map. They'll show you whether there's a drainage ditch down one side, but I needed a road that had it down both sides, because the car accident was a case of it's like there's no good option. There's a car in front of you, there's a car behind you, there's a ditch either side. Like, no solution to that is going to be a good one. And then looking into the different layers of the map to make sure that it was the right road, and then zooming in on the photograph or the kind of the aerial picture to check that it did look right. So I could literally put a pinpoint on a map of exactly where this book opens in real life. And then to make sure that the distance to all the other elements all the other locations in the book worked as well.
I mean, that's really hard, isn't it? With the whole road conditions and that, especially like where you are. Northamptonshire, I'm sure Lisa will back me up here. We're covered in potholes.
Yeah.
It's been like that for years. But to kind of fix them, rabbit ears, a company decided they were just going to pour concrete across the roads, like near me, and they actually filled in the drainage holes. Like all the drains, all the actual grating and everything got filled in with concrete. Because I remember looking at it thinking, wow, that evil clown's never getting out.
Oh God.
But it does mean we flood every time there's even like a little bit of rain now. The road surface is almost completely underwater. So it's like,
somebody didn't think about that.
I know. But it just goes to show you got to check these things if you want it to be right.
Somebody read it as a child,
yeah, I was
and got really scared and thought, this is my chance.
I mean, to be fair, I don't like clowns, and I don't like clowns because of it. Fine in the film when it turns into a spider, I'm like, I'm not scared anymore. That's fine. Spiders are okay, but clowns, no. No.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines. So I shouldn't really mention stuff that I've written, obviously, but on Facebook there was like a caption competition, and it was American, and it was of an alligator coming out of like a domestic sewer, and they were like, put a caption on it, and I put, that clown tasted funny. And that still tickles me today.
I love that you started with things I'd written, and I thought you were going to talk about one of your books, and then you went down a caption competition on Facebook.
That was much better. It was quicker. It was easier. It still makes me chuckle.
But yeah, the setting for the book, a lot of it, because it's out in the fens where the drainage ditches are for the water that comes off the fields. So one of the other things I had discussion with various people about was about the drainage ditches, which is not something I thought I would find myself looking into. But I had a conversation with Frances Pryor, who's an archaeologist and a writer, to talk about how regularly the drainage ditches are dredged, because they build up with silt and weeds, and that stops them being quite so effective, and it can cause flooding and all kinds of problems. But it depends. If somebody or a car, for example, ended up in the ditch, how recently it had been drained would affect what happened to that point. So I ended up talking to a really lovely lady for a company that drainage ditches across the fen. So I phoned her up and just went, hi, I have a really specific yet general random question. I'm a writer. You could hear on the end of the phone kind of going, who is this? What? So I explained to her that I'd written a book and the element of that I needed to ask her. And she was really lovely because it turns out it's much more complicated than you thought. I thought I was going to phone up and say, how often do you drainage ditches? And she would say, every 2 years. But she was like, well, it depends what it's for. It depends what the field structure is, like kind of what the mud level is. It depends how deep it is. It depends how wide it is. It depends what the field is used for. It depends where the field, honestly, like the number of variables. So we actually, what I thought was going to be like a 30-second question was about half an hour chit chat about where this particular drainage ditch was. And, was it a large agricultural field? Was it a small agricultural field? Was it northwest facing? Was it northeast facing? Went into a lot of detail, but I do know so I know that the elements of the drainage ditches in the book are right. But actually, like I said, so the main character has a head injury through this car accident and wakes up with what's called retrograde amnesia. So it's memories that she has had previously that are missing. And I spoke with the neurology department at Addenbrooke's Hospital, which is just up the road from me, to see if I could ask them some questions about the condition, what causes it, what the symptoms are likely to be, what recovery time is like. And actually, for the opening scenes, I needed to know how long you were likely to be in intensive care, whether you would be placed in induced coma, how you bring somebody out of an induced coma. Like, are people intubated? Are they not intubated? How do you unintubate somebody? Like, what's the process of that? How does that feel to the patient? How does that affect their voice? How does that affect blood pressure? And all these kind of elements, so that opening scene when Beth is going through all this, hopefully I got it as close to the actual experience of that as possible. Because I actually assumed that if you had a head injury and you have memory loss, I always thought it was like a physical thing, that your brain had been bashed about, or it had bleeding on the brain or pressure, and it was the physical elements of it that caused your brain to not work properly. But apparently retrograde amnesia is a psychological response to emotional trauma. So it's not to do with the actually the squishy bits of the brain being overly squished, for want of a better description, but just how your brain being so affected emotionally by whatever caused the accident that it almost protects itself by forgetting it. And it's really common apparently for people who've had traumatic experiences and traumatic accidents to kind of wipe that from your brain while you're recovering, because apparently it's almost the trauma response hampers recovery, so the brain kind of wipes it, so you're not worrying about it while you're getting better. I had completely wrongly assumed almost all of the neurological elements of the book, so I'm very glad that the consultant at Addenbrooke's Hospital was really helpful and kind of went through a whole range of questions with me, asking what I think were stupid questions, but he was very nice about it.
I tell you what, being an author, you get away with these kind of calls, don't you?
Really,
For
yeah.
research that I feel like I could just ring up my GP and say, so I'm an author, and to kill someone, what would I need to do, and get away with it? And they'd be like, oh, okay, X, Y, and Z. And I'd be like, okay, X, Y, and Z. And they'd be saying, oh, is that going to be included in your book? And I'm like, only if I don't get away with it.
Like, it's in the book, wink.
Wink.
In the book, wink.
Nicky, you made a major error there straight away. There is a strong protective
I can't get
factor.
through to my GP's office.
Yeah. One, you can never call a GP direct. You got to get through that receptionist first. And she ain't, well, I won't say she particularly, but they're not letting you get through to that doctor. No. A query? No, we can't be dealing with that.
Killing someone.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to pretend. Yeah, no. We are triaging.
If it's not about you, you're not going
ill. Yeah, you need to tell us. It's really interesting, Alison, because some of the work I've been doing, I've been looking quite a lot recently at that connection between brain and body, and the kind of neurological responses to things. And I think we still don't know a lot about that. I think research has jumped on the last sort of 10 years, but I think there's still lots and lots that we don't know about the power of those kind of connections between the brain and body. And I think kind of quite often we think about what the brain can do to the body, but maybe not as well what the body can do in response, like things that we can maybe, I've been doing a lot of work recently around how we can actually use the body to help us regulate.
Mm.
And when kind of it's the brain that's perhaps experiencing that dysregulation, or it'll be the hormones and the things in the brain that are kind of creating that, but actually the body's response to it. We have a bodily response, but also what we can use our bodies to help us manage that response. But yeah, it's amazing what the brain does to protect us, isn't it? That's what the disassociation is. It's a protective thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really useful because throughout the book, Beth has her memories start to come back to her, but she's questioning how reliable they are, which makes her a great unreliable narrator, because she doesn't know if what she's remembering is true, and the reader doesn't know if what she's remembering is true, and she doesn't know if she's overreacting because she's missing the elements that you kind of hang instinct on. If you have no memories or recollections and everything feels weird and wrong and off, how do you know which elements of that to believe or not? And that was really fun to write, because I could throw a curveball in there and you would have one of the characters in the book would react to it in a way that is almost normal, for want of a better word, and then you would have Beth's reaction, and you're kind of thinking, well, is that reacting because she knows something, or she's remembering something, or is she reacting differently because she's got a different set of information presented to her? And that, as an author, was really fun to play with. And some of the readers have been saying that was great, because they just couldn't work out who to believe, who to trust, what was real, what was not, and kind of kept them turning the pages to find out what the truth was. So that was really fun. I do feel very bad that I put her in such the awful situation. But that's the thing of a crime and thriller writer, isn't it? You kind of put people in hideous situations and see what they do.
Yeah, it gives them character.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. It's character building. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Did you have to make specific choices about the car? Were you like, well, it can't be a Volvo because that'll be all right. That won't crumple enough. Like, the Volvo will just plow on through the ditch, come out on the field, jump back up on the road.
I did think about it, because particularly you see loads of people out in the countryside, like driving Land Rovers and stuff, and you think that could probably go in a ditch and come out again. I think it was partly informed by the lifestyle that I knew the character had. So I know what car it is, but I don't say in the book which one it is, because partly I don't think it's particularly relevant. But that if I put it in, there would be one reader somewhere who knows that car much better than I do, and would point out that, I don't know, what crumple zone F, as far as crumple zones are not allocated like that, but they would know that, like, the velocity was wrong. Because like I said, I used to work in documentary in the BBC, and there would always be somebody who had a very, very, very niche specialism, and they would always find like the tiniest little error that might have gone in because of budgetary restraints or timing restraints, or just it wasn't as important to the rest of everything, so it kind of never really got the attention that it needed, because it was like a flicker on the screen before the main element of the program went on. But they would find it. People will always find it. So I was like, it's a car. Driving a car. It has four wheels.
Oh, people do now, don't they? And now, because of social media, they're like, you can stick it on the internet.
And they will find you to tell you that it's wrong.
Yeah.
I do like the term crumple zone, though.
Yeah.
I think people should have one. Where's your crumple zone?
Bits in the car that just literally are designed to
yeah,
which is why cars are much bigger than they used to be. So I can tell I spent a lot of time researching this. I'm like, no, crumple zones. It's why cars are much bigger, because they need to have like the roll cage and the crumple zone. And yeah.
And is that why you now drive a Range Rover?
Yeah.
You're like, that's safe.
I was actually thinking about potentially getting rid of my car. We don't use it enough, because I live in fairly central in Cambridge, and we just walk or bike everywhere. But yeah, my parents live out further into the country, so probably keep it.
As someone whose car only came back from the garage today, I think that's a good idea. And if you don't want your bank account to just be lighter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we are out of time for this episode, ladies.
Ooh.
I know that went quick, didn't it?
Wow, it
Didn't it?
did.
Yeah. So next time, so well, we're obviously keeping Alison. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
a given, isn't it? That she
Bed
now has to.
down.
Thank you.
Make yourself comfortable.
Yep,
I
she's
will do.
spending the week down the rabbit hole. No cars here, no cobblestones.
So as long as
You
there's a
might,
cup of tea,
you might get
tea and a
retrograde
blanket, I'll be all right.
amnesia though.
Yeah.
you're
You'll
not
want
careful.
to disassociate from this memory later.
Bit traumatic. But yes, lovely listeners and viewers, as it turns out, with this special edition for YouTube that we're doing, we are going to leave
I
you.
thought
But
we were doing this all the time now. Is this like, are
well,
we still
I
on
don't
special
know.
edition?
I keep saying that. I don't know. It sounds. I like to
I
say
think
we're
this is
special.
the thing.
Maybe we'll see how everyone sort of likes it. Because
I'm still waiting for the opportunity that I can just do this in my pajamas again.
Well, we could still do a pajama party one, couldn't we? No,
Ooh.
that might be quite fun. But yes, so do remember, listeners and viewers, to follow the Red Rabbit wherever you find your social media. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and now YouTube. And obviously do subscribe to us as well, because it costs you nothing to subscribe, and it makes a massive difference to us, and it will make a massive difference to Alison as well, won't it, Alison?
It will, yes.
It will. She'll be so happy. Look at that happy face. You'll make Alison happy, and that's the most important thing.
Of course, always.
So yes, and do remember we have a Patreon as well. So if you want extra content, I think at the moment we've got a good couple of months worth of stuff already uploaded on there that you can get early access to if you become a
if you feel
Patreon.
sorry for me for having to just got my car back from the garage.
Yeah.
You feel bad enough for me.
Buy Lisa a carburetor. That'll be the tip jar. She clearly needs one. So we will see you, and you'll hear us next time. So bye-bye.
Bye-bye.